The day she refused to give her fiancé to her educated youth best friend, she drowned herself in the river. My fiancé held my hand, comforting me not to blame myself. Later, I accompanied him in starting a business, and we made a fortune. But just as I was immersed in the happiness of my marriage, he killed my newborn child with his own hands right in front of me. At the very moment he pushed me off the high rise. He finally spoke the truth. "You're the one who killed Xiao Qiu." It turned out that the more he loved my best friend, the more he hated me and my child. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the moment when my best friend asked me to give up my fiancé for her. Ying, just let Shuha be mine. Everyone saw me wet and hugging Shuha. If he doesn't marry me, I really won't be able to face anyone. I might as well just die. Bai Xiaqiu knelt before me, crying like a delicate pear blossom, looking quite pitiful. She passionately recounted her plight and helplessness, hoping I could grant her wish. Zhao Shuhe watched from the side, his eyes filled with concern. It was only when I glanced over that I noticed Zhao Shuhe's hands twitching repeatedly, clearly wanting to help Bai Xiaqiu up from the ground. My father is the village secretary, well informed, and had already told me that the educated youths would soon be able to return to the city. In my previous life, I had good intentions and wanted her to return to the city happily, but Bai Xiaqiu didn't appreciate it. That's true. After all, she had long been attracted to Zhao Shuhe's position as a sales clerk at the supply and marketing cooperative. Every time Zhao Shuhe came to my house, he would bring some fine items like candy, soap, and Bai Xiaqiu and I were good friends, and I would often save a share of these things for her, but I never expected to be repaid with betrayal. Thinking about it carefully, Bai Xiaqiu seemed to have acquired quite a few fine things around him later on. I guess they had already hooked up long before I knew about it. Ying, you're my best friend, how could you bear to let me be gossiped about by the villagers? Bai Xiaqiu said, and started crying again. I sneered inwardly, but on the surface, I pretended to be reluctant, forcing out a couple of tears. Xiaqiu, of course I don't want you to be the subject of gossip. Tears welled up in my eyes as I looked at Zhao Shuhe. Brother, Xiaqiu is a girl after all, and she's already endured some. I can only let her have you now. You must never let her suffer in the future. You and I, we were never meant to be. Zhao Shuhe opened his mouth, raising his hand as if to say something. Tsk. I thought Zhao Shuhe was so deeply in love with Bai Xiaqiu that he couldn't live without her. Now it seems it's not that serious after all, to my surprise. Zhao Shuhe is starting to hesitate at this moment. I smirked coldly in my heart. Of course, he's hesitating. My dad is, after all, the village secretary. With his connections over the years, Zhao Shuhe has been thriving in the village. Now that my value hasn't been fully exploited yet, he certainly doesn't want to let me go. I don't have time to keep playing along with his act. I pretended to be heartbroken, covering my face and running out, of course, choosing the busiest spots. This is the peak of the farming season, and I ran into the fields, throwing myself into my mother's arms. Mom, I had just called out Mom when I broke down in tears. Oh dear, Ying, what's troubling you? Come on, tell your auntie. With so many of us here, we'll definitely get you justice. The aunties from my mom's team all gathered around with concern. I wiped away my tears and forced a smile. Auntie, I'm fine. I'm just so happy that Xiaqiu and Shuhe are together. The aunts exchanged awkward glances and cautiously looked at my mother. Sister Shen, isn't Shuhe about to get married to your daughter Ying? My mother's expression changed, and then she spoke decisively. Our Ying is a proper young lady, still young, and her father and I want to keep her with us for a couple more years. Ying isn't engaged to anyone. My mother made her decision, and everyone understood that the engagement between me and Zhao Shuhe was off. Aunt Qiufan reacted the quickest, laughing heartily. Exactly. Ying is still young, such a beautiful girl. Of course, we should keep her around for a few more years. My mom pulled me towards home. The aunties in the fields, however, were buzzing with excitement, gathered together discussing Bai Xiaqiu and Zhao Shuhe's affairs. Within half a day, everyone in the village knew about their love story. I chuckled to myself. Bai Xiaqiu, you want to marry Zhao Shuhe, don't you? I'll give you this chance, and I want to see how far you two scoundrels can go. My mom called my dad back as well. After I finished explaining the whole story, my dad was shocked, his eyes wide. That Zhao kid is really no good. If it weren't for the fact that I thought he treated you well, I wouldn't have been willing to let you marry him, but he had the nerve to embarrass you in public. I must make his family give you an explanation. I quickly stopped my dad. Dad, actually, I was the one who agreed to let Zhao Shuhe go to Bai Xiaqiu. My parents exchanged a glance, full of confusion. I told my parents about what had happened these past few days. My mother was trembling with anger, and my father had a stern look on his face. This is an unfair move by the Zhao family, both morally and logically. They are in the wrong. I'm going to prepare to go to the Zhao family and cancel the engagement of the two children. My mother's face was cold. Isn't the Zhao family still waiting for you to write an introduction letter to the town? We're just a small family. We dare not write an introduction letter for the young Master Zhao. The smile on my lips was impossible to suppress. My father is honest and well respected in the village. Marrying me to Zhao Shuhe was a bargain for the Zhao family. As the prospective son-in-law of the village secretary, Zhao Shuhe often used that status to show off in the village. Bai Xiaqiu was a sent-down youth, which sounded prestigious, but in reality, her life was far from good. Bai Xiaqiu's parents favored boys over girls. They were unwilling to let her brother go to the countryside, so they coaxed and tricked her into going, and they never cared for her again. Bai Xiaqiu managed to get by with the little help from our family and her meager work points. However, it must be said that Bai Xiaqiu had some skills, at the very least. She managed to project the image of an only child from the city in the eyes of others. I'm actually starting to look forward to it. Zhao Shuhe's mother is known far and wide for her snobbery. Now that Zhao Shuhe has lost the watermelon and picked up the sesame, I wonder how Bai Xiaqiu will handle her future mother-in-law's difficulties. Speak of the devil. Aunt Zhao yanked Zhao Shuhe's ear and knocked on my door with a bunch of miscellaneous gifts in hand. Oh, my dear-in-law, I truly apologize. It's all because that little slut Bai Xiaqiu seduced my son. You can rest assured, I've always treated Ying like my own daughter. Since our families are engaged, there's no reason to back out now. Aunt Zhao's small eyes were filled with calculation, and it was laughable how she thought she was being sincere. Zhao Shuhe was pushed in front of me by Aunt Zhao. He stammered, Ying. I was confused. The girl I want to marry is actually you. I pretended to wipe away tears in sorrow and helplessness, sobbing against my mother's shoulder. Xiaqiu said that brother Shuhe saw her body, and if she doesn't marry him, her reputation will be ruined. My swollen eyes stared at Zhao Shuhe. This is a matter of life and death. I can't be so selfish as to put my own interests above Xiaqiu's well-being. Moreover, if Shuhe refuses to marry Xiaqiu and something happens to her, his future will be completely ruined. My mother then spoke up. Ying makes a good point. This matter has already spread. If Shuhe doesn't marry Xiaqiu, he might even be labeled a scoundrel. Aunt Zhao and Zhao Shuhe also changed their expressions. The mother and son are both selfish and vain, and they dare not bear any blame. To be honest, I didn't really care much about Zhao Shuhe. If Bai Xiaqiu had been straightforward with me about her feelings for him, I might have even tried to bring them together. Before today, I truly considered Bai Xiaqiu my best friend. I was always aware of her tendency to aim high but fall short, which is why I advised her to wait a bit longer. I'm not so naive anymore. Bad people get their just desserts. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Bai Xiaqiu and Zhao Shuhe end up. I haven't forgotten what Zhao Shuhe said after pushing me down the stairs. If it weren't for you, my wife would be Xiaqiu now. You're the one who killed her. You and your child should both die for her. I took a step forward, subtly planting seeds of doubt in Aunt Zhao and Zhao Shuhe's minds. Auntie, don't worry. Xiaqiu is a well-educated youth from a big city. She's very smart, and her family background is quite good. My dad said that the well-educated youths will probably return to the city soon, and then you'll have a daughter-in-law from the city. What if you find out that this city daughter-in-law lives more frugally than anyone in the village? And the golden phoenix you imagine turns out to be a plain old chicken? That would be quite amusing. Aunt Zhao's eyes lit up, and she suddenly became very excited. My mother handed the gifts from the Zhao family back to Aunt Zhao with a smile. Congratulations, your Zhao family is about to have a daughter-in-law from the city. What's the point of bringing these things, folks? Take them home and let Shuhui get some nourishment. Aunt Zhao smiled so broadly that her eyes almost disappeared. And she happily carried the bags and bundles back home. My mom spat disdainfully only after the person was out of sight, and complained to my dad, look at what kind of people the Zhao family are. Not a single one of them is decent. Luckily, our Ying hasn't married into that family. I really can't understand Bai Xiaqiu's thought process. On the day she fell into the water, Zhao Shuhe saved her and saw her body. Rumors about her had been spreading in the village. I cried all the way from one end of the village to the other last time, intentionally letting everyone know about her love story with Zhao Shuhe. Bai Xiaqiu's reputation has now hit rock bottom. families with a bit of sense are constantly warning their eligible sons, fearing that their naive children might fall under Bai Xiao's spell like a fox. Bai Xiao, however, is completely oblivious and smugly thinks she's won against me, even going so far as to come and gloat in front of me. Sheniying, so what if you're the village secretary's daughter? Shuhaga likes me, and I'm the one who's going to marry him. You can't compete with me. I look at Bai Xiao as if she's a fool. I really can't understand why she doesn't like all those handsome and hardworking educated youths in the village, or those slightly cultured teachers. Why does she fall for Zhao Shuha, such a vain man? I continued washing the clothes in my hands, deliberately splashing dirty water onto Bai Xiao with a stick. What did you say? I didn't hear you just now. Bai Xiao's expression changed, and she was about to curse at me, but catching a glimpse of someone approaching, she reverted to her pitiful look. Ying, I know you're still upset that I took Shuha away, but after all, Shuha saw my body, and he said he would take responsibility for me. Blame me if you must, but don't you dare blame brother Shuha. With that, Bai Xiao even managed to squeeze out a couple of fake tears. Before I could say anything, Aunt Qiufan, who had come to wash clothes, was almost in tears from laughter. You're so funny, Bai Xiao, we're all old foxes here. What kind of tales of the strange are you trying to pull on us? Aunt Qiufan spat at her. Pa, take a good look at yourself. What kind of person are you? With that, Aunt Qiufan warmly took my hand and led me to the other side. Ying. We can't get too close to such filth. Let's go quickly. Bai Xiao widened her eyes, placed her hands on her hips, and spoke with righteous indignation. You're just jealous of me. I'm an educated youth who came from the city, naturally more cultured than you villagers. Now I'm about to marry Shuha, and you're all feeling unbalanced. Qiufan and a few other aunts exchanged glances and surprisingly said nothing. After all, everyone in the village knows that Zhao Shuha has a snobbish mother, and he only got a good job because my dad introduced him. Aunt Qiufan was being sarcastic. Oh yes, you're so noble. Why are you washing clothes with us lowly country folk? I looked at Bai Xiao with a half smile as her face slowly turned red. Bai Xiao misjudged this time. The women in the village, especially the older ones, are never to be trifled with. Bai Xiao wanted to say something but hesitated, wary of the formidable presence of Aunt Qiufan and the other village women. Eventually, she left with an awkward expression. Bai Xiao was attracted to Zhao Shuha's material wealth, while the Zhao family was drawn to Bai Xiao's identity as a city-born educated youth. Regardless of what the villagers thought, both parties were quite satisfied. Bai Xiao feared I might regret taking Zhao Shuha away, while the Zhao family worried Bai Xiao might never return once she went back to the city. The two sides quickly agreed and set an early wedding date. Zhao Shuha wasn't a generous person, and Aunt Zhao was even more miserly. Bai Xiao and Zhao Shuha's wedding could be described as extremely hasty. The Zhao family hung a couplet at the door, put up a few happiness characters in the courtyard and house, and even the wedding banquet was extremely meager. Everyone in the village could see the Zhao family's disdain for Bai Xiao. Adding to this was the touching love story between Zhao Shuha and Bai Xiao, which sparked a lot of discussion. Meals in every household in the village became a bit livelier. Zhao's boy is really clueless. He had the chance with the village secretary's pure and innocent daughter, but instead, he chose to be with that indiscreet Bai Xiao. You can tell Bai Xiao isn't the type to settle down. With that figure and looks, I wonder if they've been secretly seeing each other all along. I'd say it's pretty likely. When Bai Xiao fell into the water that day, there were so many aunties around, yet Zhao's boy was the only one who reacted quickly and jumped in to save her. In that case, Ying was probably set up by the two of them. The village gossip was growing more and more, and every time Zhao's aunt went out, she felt the strange looks from the villagers. She was a proud woman, and even though she knew Bai Xiao was a city girl, she couldn't help but feel resentment. Son, are you sure this Bai Xiao is a good and steady girl? Zhao Shuha's face changed. Mom, what are you saying? Xiao is already our Zhao family's daughter-in-law. How can you still say such things to doubt her? The usually filial son, for a woman who had just married in, actually lost his temper with his own mother. Zhao's aunt began to feel discontent. For the past few days since Bai Xiao got married, she's been pampered to no end. Not only has she not gone out to earn work points, but she also doesn't clean the house or cook. Everything inside and outside the home relies on Aunt Zhao. At the dinner table, Aunt Zhao glared angrily, showing no pleasant expression at all. All she does is eat and sleep, a useless thing. Bai Xiaoqiu pretended not to hear and picked up a cucumber strip. As soon as she put it in her mouth, she couldn't help but retch. Aunt Zhao's expression softened, her excitement palpable. Xiaoqiu, are you pregnant? Bai Xiaoqiu glanced shyly at Zhao Shuhe before lowering her head. Yes, Mom, you're going to be a grandmother soon. Aunt Zhao now treated Bai Xiaoqiu like a precious gem, guarding her fiercely to ensure her unborn grandchild remained safe. She stands tall in front of the villagers, repeating over and over every day how she's about to have a big, chubby grandson. Is Aunt Zhao home? I've come to share some good news with you. There's been an announcement. After the busy farming season ends, the educated youths should prepare to return to the city. Aunt Zhao's face lit up with joy. Thank you, Ying, for going out of your way to tell us. Not a big deal, not a big deal. The Zhao family treated me well before. I just passed on a message for you. Nothing much, after all. The dog-eat-dog showdown between you two is something I've been looking forward to for a long time. Upon learning that the educated youth were about to return to the city, and with Bai Xiaoqiu pregnant with Zhao Shuhe's child, Aunt Zhao truly regarded Bai Xiaoqiu as a blessed person, almost wanting to worship her like an ancestor. This is great. Xiaoqiu will soon be returning to the city for work. Xiaoqiu, you're almost showing. Shouldn't you let your parents know? Bai Xiaoqiu paused, her hand on her stomach, her eyes darted around, and then she started groaning in pain, clutching her belly. Mom, Brother Shuhe, my stomach hurts so much. After a chaotic rush, Bai Xiaoqiu lay in bed, pretending to sleep. Zhao Shuhe took half a day off specifically to take care of Bai Xiaoqiu, mainly out of concern for any mishaps with the child in her womb. After all, in his mind, Bai Xiaoqiu was carrying his child, and he was definitely going to accompany her back to the city. Zhao Shuhe hummed a tune as he walked home with supplements, feeling on top of the world, with a beauty by his side and a child on the way. Soon, he would leverage his in-laws' influence to secure a better job, and Zhao Shuhe couldn't be happier. This joy came to an abrupt end when he overheard a couple arguing. The female educated youth angrily pushed the man away. After the busy farming season, I'm going back to the city. I can't have this child. After I return, the higher-ups will arrange jobs. Such a rare opportunity. If I'm pregnant, where will I stand? Zhao Shuhe only felt his ears ringing. So, are they not taking care of pregnant educated youth anymore? Zhao Shuhe panicked and rushed home with the supplements. Mrs. Zhao was boiling eggs for Bai Xiaoqiu in the kitchen when she suddenly saw her son rushing back in a panic. Oh dear, what's the hurry? You're acting so rashly and unsteadily, Zhao Shuhe panted. Mom, it seems the higher-ups have decided not to assign jobs to those pregnant educated youths. Mrs. Zhao's face also changed. Are you sure about this? Zhao Shuhe's face was dark, and he spoke through clenched teeth. There's no mistake. Grandma Zhao fished 2 boiled eggs out of the boiling water, rinsed them under cold water, and slowly peeled them, handing one to Zhao Shuhe. People always have to learn to grow up, Grandma Zhao hinted. Zhao Shuhe's hand trembled as he took the egg. Is there really no other way, Mrs. Zhao shook her head with a stern expression. Bai Xiaoqiu had somehow arrived outside the kitchen, and through a door, she overheard the entire plan of Zhao's mother and son. Ying, I know I was wrong, only now do I understand why you didn't agree to me marrying Zhao Shuhe. Please help me. Bai Xiaoqiu was crying in front of me, her tears like pear blossoms in the rain, but I didn't miss the hidden resentment in her eyes. I know Bai Xiaoqiu all too well. She's a beautiful snake, currently in a weak position, trying to get me to help her. Once she gets through her tough time, her fangs will snap my neck. I looked at Bai Xiaoqiu kneeling in front of me, her snot running down her face, and I spread my hands. This is your Zhao family's internal matter, and there's not much I can do to help, but our clever Bai Jiqing must have a plan, right? After Bai Xiaoqiu returned to the Zhao family, she clearly felt an indescribable awkward atmosphere permeating the house from the moment she stepped in. Zhao Shuhe spoke with feigned concern but underlying dissatisfaction. Xiaoqiu, where have you been? You didn't even tell Mom and me. We were both so worried. Bai Xiaoqiu remained silent, her eyes fixed on the herbal medicine packet in Mrs. Zhao's hand, her tone completely flat. Is Mom sick? Why did she bring back a packet of traditional Chinese medicine? Mrs. Zhao awkwardly hid the packet of medicine behind her back. This is a secret recipe I got from my family, a really good medicine for a smooth pregnancy. Bai Xiaoqiu smiled. Thank you, Mom, for your concern. Mrs. Zhao inexplicably felt a chill down her spine. She looked up at the sky, which was bright and sunny. About half a month before the autumn harvest ended, word spread that something had happened at the Zhao household. After Bai Xiaoqiu drank the so-called fetal stabilizing medicine given by Madame Zhao, she felt a sharp pain in her lower abdomen. She looked down and saw blood slowly spreading on her pants. Bai Xiaoqiu had already prepared herself to give up the child, but she hadn't expected the process of abortion to be so agonizing. Bai Xiaoqiu held her stomach with one hand and tried to grab Zhao Shuhe's sleeve with the other. "Brother Shuhe, I'm in so much pain, please go call the doctor from the clinic." Zhao Shuhe hesitated, looking at Bai Xiaoqiu. Grandma Zhao pushed Bai Xiaoqiu's hand away and spoke in a deep voice. "It's come to this point, if we call the doctor now and the child is saved, everything will be ruined." Zhao Shuhe clenched his teeth and walked out. Mrs. Zhao, estimating that the time was about right, rushed out in a hurry, as she was a caring mother-in-law. Bai Xiaoqiu looked around the empty Zhao household, struggling to move from the bed, only to fall directly to the ground. Bai Xiaoqiu seemed oblivious to the pain, crawling towards the door with effort, letting the blood from her lower body soak the floor. There's always someone around in the countryside, and as Bai Xiaoqiu just reached the doorway, sharp-eyed Aunt Zhang had already spotted the pitiful Bai Xiaoqiu. "Oh dear, what's wrong with Bai Jiqing? How did she end up in such a sorry state?" Bai Xiaoqiu, her bloodied hand clutching at Aunt Zhang's hem, was barely breathing, her voice trembling with sobs. "Aunt Zhang, please help me, go and get the village secretary over here. My mother-in-law and brother Shuhe forced me to drink an abortion potion. The doctor had already said it was a boy. When Aunt Zhang called us over, the Zhao family was already in complete chaos. The doctor who had been summoned cowered in a corner, while in front of the Zhao house, Madame Zhao wildly waved her fists and cursed loudly. "You wretched thing. What are you blabbering about? It's clearly your own incompetence. Yet you slander us for forcing you to have an abortion. Pa, that's my own grandson. How could I ever do such a thing?" Bai Xiaoqiu had already been beaten to the point of barely breathing, and it looked like she was on the verge of death. Zhao Shuhe could only stand awkwardly to the side, whispering timidly, "Mom, Xiaoqiu, stop fighting." In the end, it was my dad who cleared his throat twice and stepped in to put an end to this farce. However, the Zhao family has now become notorious. Madame Zhao became synonymous with cruelty, Zhao Shuhe with cowardice, and while Bai Xiaoqiu was in a tough spot, her previous reputation wasn't great, so few people sympathized with her. Bai Xiaoqiu's outburst completely exhausted her physically. She had lost her child, and Madame Zhao wouldn't indulge her anymore. Every day, Madame Zhao gave Bai Xiaoqiu a hard time and forced her to work in the fields to earn work points, even though she hadn't fully recovered from her postpartum period. Threatening not to feed her if she didn't comply, within a few days, Bai Xiaoqiu was worn down to the point of looking like a shadow of her former self under Madame Zhao's mistreatment. Additionally, I accidentally let slip Bai Xiaoqiu's family situation in front of the educated youths, kind-hearted youths, wanting to help Bai Xiaoqiu escape the clutches of the Zhao family, sent a letter directly to her family. The old man and woman of the Bai family were also well-versed in social etiquette. And when inquiring about the Zhao family, they merely said they were visiting relatives. The villagers were simple-minded and even went out of their way to guide the Bai family, bringing them to the door of the Zhao household. Bai Xiaoqiu didn't go to the fields today. She was feeling too unwell. Aunt Zhao noticed her weakness and was afraid she might die in their house, bringing bad luck, so she had her stay home to cook. Bai Xiaoqiu opened the door and saw her parents, who should have been hundreds of miles away, looking displeased. Bai Xiaoqiu's face turned pale. "Mom and Dad, why are you here?" Bai's grandmother snorted coldly and twisted the soft flesh on Bai Xiaoqiu's arm. "How dare you ask us, you shameless girl? You've disgraced the Bai family, who allowed you to marry a small villager. How much bride price did their family give you? Did they even show any remorse for causing your miscarriage?" Bai's grandmother's words came one after another, each one mentioning money, completely indifferent to Bai Xiaoqiu's well-being. The Bai family only cared about money. They pushed Bai Xiaoqiu aside and strutted into the Bai household. Although Zhao Shuhe was just an ordinary villager, he had been working at the supply and marketing cooperative for several years, bringing back plenty of good stuff every year. Zhao's mother was also a meticulous planner, so the Zhao family actually had quite a lot of nice things. Old Bai and a few younger Bai family members barged into the house and started rummaging through the Zhao family's drawers and wardrobes, stuffing anything edible, usable, or valuable into their pockets. Zhao Shuhe felt uneasy at the supply and marketing cooperative today, and to his surprise, he came home to find a group of strangers ransacking his house. "Hey, who are you? Who told you to touch our stuff?" Zhao Shuhe tried to snatch the jewelry she had treasured for many years from Bai Laota's hands. Bai Laotai gave a fake smile. Who are we? I'm your mother-in-law, you got our Xiaqiu pregnant, and then secretly tricked her into marrying you. How dare you even ask who we are? Zhao Shuhe's eyes widened. The group in front of him didn't seem like good people, at least not like the city folks he had imagined. But he alone couldn't handle the tall and strong younger generation of the Bai family. Old Bai was a shrewd man, and seeing that the Zhao family didn't seem capable of offering much in the way of betrothal gifts, he simply decided not to ask for any. With a wave of his hand, he took away most of the valuable items from the Zhao family, and at the end, he said, "Zhao boy, don't say we're treating you badly, our beautiful daughter has become your Zhao family's wife, so taking these few things isn't too much, is it?" The Bai family was large and powerful, and Zhao Shuhe didn't dare to say anything. He could only watch helplessly as the Bai family left, laden with goods. When Mrs. Zhao returned from the fields, she saw her home reduced to bare walls and fainted from the shock. After hearing Zhao Shuhe's explanation of the events, Mrs. Zhao felt an even sharper pain in her chest. She never expected Bai Xiaqiu to be such a complete jinx, with all her family background being a lie. Now, not only had the Bai family taken their savings, but Mrs. Zhao had also developed a deep hatred for Bai Xiaqiu. I started my own business with the little money I had saved, relying on the memories of my past life. I almost made a fortune, so I went on to establish my own company. When I returned home again, my assistant drove the car straight to my doorstep. The villagers hadn't seen many cars before, and seeing the overflowing gifts in my trunk, their eyes almost popped out. "Wow, Ying has changed so much in just a few years, right? You've become even more beautiful, and you're looking great too. Ying, you must have made quite a bit of money out there." I smiled and said, "I just did a little business, not much profit," but my dad said, "No matter how much I earn, I must never forget my roots." I brought back some local specialties from outside. I'll have my assistant deliver them to the aunties shortly. The villagers finally left reluctantly. I vaguely saw a dirty-looking man in the distance, sneaking a peek at me. When he noticed my gaze, he awkwardly ran off, his limp making his hasty retreat look just like that of a dog. I knew who that man was. At the dinner table, my mom complained to me, "My daughter is so lucky. She cut ties with the Zhao family early on. You have no idea how chaotic things got over there." I poured a glass of red wine I brought back from outside for my mom and said nonchalantly, "Mom, try this. Let's not talk about those irrelevant people. It's just nauseating to hear about them." I certainly know how chaotic things got at the Zhao family. As the country developed, the supply and marketing cooperatives had long since declined, and Zhao Shuhe's job was no longer a coveted position. Soon enough, he became unemployed and laid off. Moreover, the Zhao family's valuables had already been thoroughly looted by the Bai family, leaving the Zhao household destitute. Zhao Shuhe's temper grew increasingly volatile, and he took to heavy drinking. One night, after drinking, he accidentally encountered a gang of hooligans, got into a dispute with them, and ended up with a broken leg. Finally, on one occasion when Zhao Shuhe tried to get close to Bai Xiaqiu, she refused. In a fit of rage, Zhao Shuhe struck Bai Xiaqiu, and from then on, it spiraled out of control. Bai Xiaqiu wanted to run away, but Aunt Zhao kept a close eye on her. She had already been weakened by a previous miscarriage, and with the little food old lady Zhao provided, coupled with constant beatings, she had no strength to escape. Bai Xiaqiu was filled with regret. She had lost her chance to return to the city for a man like this, ruined her health with a miscarriage, and now had to endure daily abuse and be treated as a mere object for his desires. Bai Xiaqiu's tears finally spilled over. On an ordinary night, Bai Xiaqiu could no longer bear this life. She sneaked into the kitchen and devoured all the breakfast old lady Zhao had prepared for Zhao Shuhe the next day. Then she hanged herself with a rope, right in front of Zhao Shuhe's bed. When Zhao Shuhe opened his eyes, he saw Bai Xiaqiu, pale-faced, with her tongue out and a swollen belly. That's when Zhao Shuhe went mad. In the poverty-stricken Zhao household, Zhao's old lady worked tirelessly to earn those meager work points, all to support her simple-minded son. One day, Zhao's old lady never got up to make breakfast for Zhao Shuhe. The Zhao family was left with only a fool who would scavenge for trash to eat or fight with dogs over food. Later, unnoticed by anyone, one fool disappeared from the village, and everyone assumed he had died. I met my husband when I was 30 years old. At that time, my parents had already been brought to Beijing by me, enjoying their retirement life ahead of schedule. My father's daily routine was to walk birds, tend to flowers, and play chess. I called my dad to come home for dinner, but his chess partner grabbed his wrist. My dad's chess partner is an interesting old man with a good personality, but he has poor chess etiquette. He's not very good but has a big appetite for the game. And he throws a tantrum to take back moves when he loses. No, wait, let me rethink this. If I move here this time, I'm sure to win, my dad teased. Old man, you've already taken back 3 moves today, you can't take back any more. The old man rolled his eyes and casually dragged the man next to him in front of my dad. This brat is yours now. I'm definitely taking back this move today. Zhou Xingyan straightened his clothes and extended his hand toward me. Hello, Mr. Shen. I've heard so much about you. What happened next was only natural. Next, let's listen to the following story. When my husband and I went to the orphanage to adopt a child, I suddenly saw a row of comments. Great, the heroine is finally going to have real family members. But the villainess next to her looks so pitiful. If she hadn't been left unadopted, she wouldn't have grown up with that personality. Stop being so soft-hearted. Thinking about how she's going to treat my sweet baby in the future makes my heart ache. I was taken aback, glancing at the timid girl beside me whose eyes brimmed with longing. I bent down and spoke softly. Will you come home with me, too? Hearing my words, the girl suddenly looked up at me, a glimmer of hope flashing in her eyes, then quickly lowered her head again, tightly clenching her hands. The barrage of comments flew by at lightning speed. No way, are you kidding? I've watched this drama over a dozen times. Why did the plot suddenly change? Why would the heroine's mother suddenly decide to adopt the villainess? Last night, the villainess was still trying to cut up the heroine's clothes to embarrass her in front of her mother. I looked at the girl with some surprise. She seemed quite timid, yet she had her own little schemes. That's great, it shows she's smart. And I won't have to worry about her studies in the future. The director hadn't expected this outcome either. She looked at Ruan, who was on the verge of tears, and asked with a hint of heartache, although Chi-Chi is also good, Ruan is a kinder and more adorable child, are you really not considering her? Hearing the director's words, I keenly noticed a shadow of gloom in Chi-Chi's eyes. I walked over and took her hand under her surprised gaze. Who said I was only adopting one? I like both of them, isn't that okay? After completing the formalities, my husband and I took Chi-Chi and Ruan home together. My family's conditions aren't the best, but they're not bad either. The house is a large flat on the 3rd Ring Road, with 4 bedrooms. Auntie, I'm afraid of the dark. Can I stay in the room closer to you? Her soft, small body only reached my waist high. When she looked at me, her eyes sparkled, and my heart melted. Who wouldn't love such a lovely girl? I was about to agree when I noticed Chi-Chi standing silently beside me. She squinted at Ruan, as if pondering something. The bullet screen flashed quickly. Just by looking at this expression, you know the female antagonist is up to no good again. Last time it was cutting clothes. The time before that it was pouring hot water. What is she planning this time? Why did the heroine's mom adopt her? What if it disrupts Softa's living environment? Who knows if the supporting female character will make poison and dose the heroine's family in the middle of the night. She wasn't innocent in her previous life. Poison. My heart skipped a beat. Homemade. How good must one be at chemistry? My daughter is amazing. I looked at Chi-Chi with admiration, and upon receiving my gaze, she quickly turned her head away. I reached out and patted her little head. Since I wanted to ask for your opinions, I haven't finished decorating your rooms yet, so for now. Would it be okay if you all slept with Mom? Okay, I'll do whatever Auntie says. Softly agreed obediently. Chi-Chi, on the other hand, looked down at the floor, her feet awkwardly tangled together. After a long pause, she finally uttered coldly, no. I asked patiently, why not? Chi-Chi raised her head, her gaze icy. If you want to be with her, just say so. There's no need to drag me along. I don't care. That's what she said. But Chi-Chi's back was tense, like a little hedgehog. It seemed that if I said anything unpleasant, she would quickly retort, but Mom is scared at night. Obviously, she didn't expect me to say that. What? Chi-Chi suddenly looked up, staring at me strangely. What are you afraid of? I looked completely unfazed. Scared of the dark. But you're not a child. A woman is forever a little girl. Ever heard that saying? A hint of confusion appeared in Chi-Chi's eyes. And only then did she seem like a child her age. I patted her shoulder with an air of pretentious profundity. Look, there's so much you don't know. You really need to go to school and study hard. Chi-Chi's face twisted like she was constipated, as if she wanted to argue back but couldn't find a reason. The smile on my face deepened. what's so bad about being the villainess? Humph, she's still firmly in my grasp. I turned on the TV and gave Wan Yuan the tablet to prevent the two kids from arguing, one for each, to ensure fairness. I asked my husband to teach the two kids how to watch cartoons, and then I went to the kitchen to cook. Halfway through cooking, the bullet screen in front of me suddenly started scrolling quickly again. I knew it, the evil female is just evil, and she's bullying our softie again. I had a feeling she was plotting something when she went silent. How long has the heroine's mom been gone? She's already causing trouble again. My eyebrows shot up. And I quickly put down the kitchen knife and rushed to the living room. It was then that I noticed an odd atmosphere in the living room. My husband was holding a sobbing Ruan, comforting her continuously. Chi-Chi stood off to the side, arms crossed, watching them, her body tense. On the ground lay a tablet with a shattered screen. I pulled Chi-Chi into a tight embrace. What's wrong, sweetheart? Can you tell mommy what happened? The bullet screen has already filled me in on the details. It seems that Ruan wanted to play with Chi-Chi's tablet, but Chi-Chi refused. During the struggle, Chi-Chi accidentally threw the tablet, and Ruan was so scared that she started crying. The small body in her arms was very stiff. She squirmed a few times, realizing she couldn't break free, and then spoke coldly. Why didn't you ask her? For some reason, my heart ached. Mom will ask the older sister first, and then the younger sister later. Chi-Chi sneered, she's not my sister. I noticed that Chi-Chi seemed extremely repelled by the term sisters, and there was an undeniable disgust when she mentioned it. Tell mommy, what just happened? Okay. Chi-Chi stared at me for a while, as if confirming something, before awkwardly saying, she wanted to take my stuff, I didn't want to, and then I accidentally threw it away. Chi-Chi pursed her lips and repeated, it was an accident, not on purpose. I can pay you back. I chuckled, where are you going to get the money to pay me back? Chi-Chi spoke clearly, I can collect 50 empty bottles a day, sometimes up to 100 if I'm lucky, which earns me 5 yuan. I also copy homework quickly, 10 assignments a day at 2 yuan each, so that's 20 yuan. On weekends, I help wash dishes for others, but because I'm young, they deduct my pay, so I only make 30 yuan a day. That adds up to 185 yuan a week. Don't worry, I will definitely pay you back. Suddenly, I feel that having a child who is so good at math isn't necessarily a good thing. I fell silent. The barrage of comments that were flying by suddenly went blank. After a while, someone finally asked, was the female supporting character really that miserable before? I just looked up the female supporting character's background. She lived with her stepmother, who often didn't feed her, so she had to scavenge for trash and copy homework to make money. It wasn't until her stepmother died that she was sent to an orphanage. Sigh, she was actually quite pitiful, but being pitiful isn't an excuse for her to be so malicious, is it? I closed my eyes, no longer watching the comments, and hugged her tightly. Mom doesn't need you to compensate for anything, nor does she want you to do these things to make money. Mom took you in to let you grow up happily, okay? The tense body in my arms gradually relaxed, her voice was barely audible, okay. Only after calming down did I let go of Chi-Chi, then I crouched in front of Ruan. Tell mom, is what sister said true? Wan Yuan lowered her head, pouted, and whispered, there's no cartoon I want to watch on TV. I secretly blamed myself. I still didn't consider everything thoroughly. I reached out and stroked the soft, fluffy head. Mom will buy 2 more tablets, one for you and one for your sister, but I have a request. I reached out to Chi-Chi and pulled her closer. Softie, you need to apologize to your sister because it's wrong to take her things without her permission. Softly seemed half understanding, her face flushed red, and she whispered, but that's not your sister's thing. I said sternly, but the item is in your sister's hand, and she temporarily possesses it, so you can't take it without her permission. The same applies to your sister. This time, you were wrong, so you need to apologize to your sister. If your sister made this mistake, I would also have her apologize to you. Softly's mouth twisted, and it seemed like she was about to cry again. My husband was starting to feel uncomfortable and looked at me as if he wanted to say something, but I stopped him with a single glance. Before we adopted, my husband and I had agreed that since I was sacrificing a part of my career and most of my time for the child, I must have absolute say in their education. Chi-Chi noticed my husband's expression and clearly became nervous. She gripped my hand tightly, as if afraid I might be swayed by the soft tears. Come on, do you think I'm the kind of person who would break my principles just because of a child's tears? Seeing that I remained unmoved, Softie finally wiped away her tears and apologized to Chi-Chi. I'm sorry, sister, I shouldn't have taken your things," just as Chi-Chi was about to speak. I spoke first. "If you're not ready to forgive, you don't have to, do it when you're ready." Chi-Chi's face showed some reluctance at first, but after hearing my words, she suddenly turned her head. "Alright, I'll forgive you this time, but there won't be a next time." After saying that, I felt my hand being held even tighter. Since I only prepared personal items for Ruan in advance, Chi-Chi had to borrow Ruan's pajamas. Fortunately, their sizes were similar, so Chi-Chi fit into them reasonably well. The contrast was quite amusing, the little one with a cold expression wearing strawberry pajamas. Ruan, on the other hand, seemed quite delighted, showing obvious affection for the pink pajamas. While my husband took Ruan to wash up, I quietly said to Chi-Chi, "If you like other styles of pajamas, I'll pick out a different one for you when Mom goes to the mall tomorrow." Chi-Chi was a bit surprised. She stared at my face and didn't say a word. Her facial expressions changed repeatedly, finally settling as if she had made some decision. I touched my cheek and teased her, "Does Mom's face have flowers on it?" She hesitated and shook her head. Just as I turned off the light and lay back in bed, something small suddenly crawled onto me. In the darkness, Chi-Chi's muffled voice came, "I'll protect you." It took me a while to realize she was talking about my fear of the dark. As expected, I woke up with sore legs and arms from being pressed on. My husband set breakfast on the table and teased me about whether I had a rough night with the two kids. I looked at Chi-Chi and smiled. Indeed, fighting monsters. If it weren't for someone protecting me, I reckon I'd be done for. Chi-Chi turned her head away to avoid my gaze, but her earlobes turned slightly red. In the afternoon, I took the two kids to the mall to buy daily necessities, and on the way, I discussed with the little ones their preferred interior design styles. As expected, Ruan loves the beautiful princess room, while Chi-Chi prefers a simple style, with the only requirement being a large bookshelf. As for the choice of rooms, adhering to the principles of fairness and justice, naturally, we drew lots. In the end, Chi-Chi drew the room across from mine, and Ruan's room is next to Chi-Chi's, with both sharing a balcony. After the house was renovated, both kids were used to sleeping with me. And it wasn't until half a year later that they started sleeping in their own rooms. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. The two children had also started middle school one after the other. During this period, Chi-Chi and Ruan got along relatively well, though there were occasional conflicts. They quickly returned to calm. The only issue was that Chi-Chi seemed to have always disliked Ruan and was unwilling to interact with her. My husband privately discussed this matter with me, asking what we should do about it. The two sisters lived at home like strangers, even sharing a balcony that was divided in half, one side with potted plants and a recliner, the other with toys and small stools. Occasionally, Ruan would call Chi-Chi's sister on her own initiative, but Chi-Chi would only address her by name unless absolutely necessary, although I comforted my husband by saying it was okay. After multiple failed attempts to mediate their relationship, I went back to the orphanage to talk to the director. It was only then that I learned that at the orphanage, all the other children, including the caregivers, liked Ruan, while no one liked the eccentric Chi-Chi. Even when Chi-Chi and Ruan have conflicts, I always advise Chi-Chi to give in to Ruan, just because Chi-Chi is older. No wonder Chi-Chi dislikes Ruan so much. Thinking about this, I feel a headache coming on. But before I could continue planning the next step in the mediation, the barrage that had been in front of me for 5 years caught my attention again. Great, the male lead is coming, and Softy will finally have someone to protect her. I declare, the plot is officially entering the main storyline. It's my favorite love triangle. Every day watching this evil female supporting character bully our Softy, I feel like I can't reach through the screen to slap her, now that the male lead is here. The supporting character will fall madly in love with him, and then we can watch the male lead the female supporting character. Supporting female lead, male lead, love triangle. It took me a while to recover from the barrage of comments. My two precious daughters are only in middle school. What are you talking about? It was a Wednesday, and the first-year students wouldn't finish class until 8 p.m., since our home is only a 10-minute walk from the school. I usually don't go out of my way to pick them up, but to get the full picture, I showed up early at the school gate after school to keep an eye on things. I wanted to see what kind of swine dared to mess with our precious little sprout. As soon as the school bell rang, I quickly hid behind a Jianbing cart. A swarm of middle schoolers flooded toward the school gate. The first person I noticed was Chi-Chi, as she was already 1.65 meters tall at the age of 13, tall and slender. standing out in the crowd. As soon as she stepped out of the school gate, she took out a pair of wired earphones from her pocket, put them on, and walked straight home with her hands in her pockets, knowing that the sisters didn't get along. I wasn't surprised she didn't go home with Ruan Yuan. The live chat was scrolling quickly, with everyone worried about Ruan Yuan and the so-called male lead because of my unusual actions today, afraid that I would catch them in their puppy love and break them up. Following the hints from the comments, I quickly spotted Ruan Yuan. Ruan Yuan had 2 braids, pulling her school bag strap as she walked, followed by a tall boy. The comments buzzed with excitement, praising the male lead for his good looks and how well he matched Ruan Yuan. In that short stretch of road, the boy named Jiangchen tugged on Ruan's braid 5 times, her backpack 3 times, and twice ran in front of her to forcibly grab her attention. The bullet screen went wild, indeed. Liking someone means constantly trying to grab their attention. Wow, the perfect height difference, so much CP vibes, but I feel like Softy isn't too keen, huh? Oh, young girls are like that, they have thin skin, but deep down, they're probably over the moon. Seeing the crazy comments in the live chat, I felt a blackout. So what if he's handsome? Haven't you noticed that my Softy is already showing clear signs of impatience? Can you really ship this, at this point? The 2 of them had reached a fork in the road not far from the school. Seeing that Jiangchen was still following Ruan, it seemed like he was determined to see her home. I couldn't hold back any longer and was about to make my move when suddenly, another slender figure emerged from the shadows of the corner. Stay away from her. Chi-Chi took off her headphones, wrapped the cord neatly, and put them in her pocket. She looked at Jiangchen, revealing the expression that always gets comments saying, she's up to no good and wants to harm Ruan Yuan. Jiangchen was displeased. Who do you think you are? Ruan Yuan was stunned, clearly not expecting Chi-Chi to be here. Chi-Chi ignored her and said to Ruan. Ruan didn't react. Come here. Chi-Chi frowned, just as I thought she was about to lose patience and turn to leave. Unexpectedly, Chi-Chi suddenly stepped forward and pulled Ruan behind her. Let's go. After saying that, she firmly held Ruan's hand, not allowing any objection, and strode towards home. Ruan couldn't keep up with her long strides and had to jog behind her. Jiangchen instinctively wanted to follow, but heard Chi-Chi say coldly, if you come any closer, I'll go to the dean and tell them you're harassing a female student. The phrase dean still carried too much weight. Jiangchen quickly stopped in his tracks. He called out unwillingly from behind, no, who are you? I'm her sister. Jiangchen had nothing to say, his expression was a bit constipated. He muttered to himself, no, I just wanted her to help me with my homework. Why does it feel like I'm some kind of bad guy? No sooner had he finished speaking than a Maybach slowly pulled up beside him, the window rolled down, revealing a woman with big wavy hair and bright red lips, who took off her sunglasses. Hey, big boy. Skipping home after school and chasing after little girls, aren't you worried they'll call the cops on you? I didn't. Jiangchen got into the car, pouting. Before the window went up, it seemed like the beautiful woman glanced in my direction, or was it just my imagination? Back home, the atmosphere felt a bit odd. The 2 of them, who usually retreat to their own rooms as soon as they get home, were oddly both in the living room this time, but they didn't talk. Just one reading a book and the other playing with their phone, sitting on opposite ends of the sofa. When they saw me come back, they just called out to me and then fell silent. I coughed once. I really didn't know how to start the conversation, so I went to cut some fruit. I brought out the fruit platter, placed it on the coffee table, and sat between my 2 daughters. I coughed again, but still, no one spoke. They both stood up and one of them poured me a cup of hot water. A sip of warmth with each drink. Raising daughters is wonderful. 2 daughters are like 2 warm quilts. After a moment, I broke the silence. Anything interesting happen at school today that you'd like to share with Mom? No one was speaking. Just as I was considering whether to talk to Ruan Yuan alone, she spoke up softly. There's a new classmate who's really annoying. He keeps teasing me and even kicks my chair during class, making it impossible for me to concentrate on my studies, as expected. It was just as I thought. Ignoring the barrage of comments that had started up again, I asked softly, have you talked to the teacher? The most important thing I teach my 2 kids is that if something uncomfortable happens at school, don't endure it. Either talk to the teacher or have the teacher call me. Even if the stress is too much, you can call me and come home to rest for an afternoon, although the 2 kids probably wouldn't do that, but I want to give them the right to come home anytime. This way, they'll always feel confident, knowing they have support and a fallback. Perhaps it's also because of this that the two kids never complained to me about the pressure of their studies. Ruan nodded. I talked to the homeroom teacher, but he said it's a sign that the new student likes me, and told me not to be petty, but to take better care of the new student. Ruan lowered her head. Beside her, Chi-Chi let out a cold snort. He's a male teacher. Maybe that's how he used to chase girls when he was young, so he doesn't think it's a big deal. I nodded in agreement. Wanyan hesitated, saying, but it seems like he's only doing this to ask me questions. Sweetie, no matter what the new classmate's intentions are, if he makes you feel uncomfortable, you can firmly reject him. If he insists and the teacher doesn't intervene, you can borrow a phone from another teacher and call me. Okay, softly nodded. Okay, I'll firmly reject him tomorrow. Also, sweetheart, even though you're still young, I want to tell you this. Truly healthy liking for someone means being kind to her, helping her, and attracting others through your own merits. It would never involve hurting you to get your attention. Okay, I understand. Wanyan nodded seriously. So he's an unhealthy person. I need to stay away from him. I breathed a sigh of relief. Wanyan's personality is kind and gentle, and sometimes she doesn't want to tell me when she's upset. Afraid that I'll worry. If it weren't for the live chat, I probably wouldn't have known about this, let alone intervened. This will lead Wanyan to develop a misguided view of love, believing that people who like her are justified in mistreating her. No wonder these comments sometimes say that in the future, Wanyan will be wrongly accused and kicked out of a man's car on a stormy day, leading her to suffer unbearably and choose to hide her pregnancy and leave the country. After a few years, she returns and clears up the misunderstanding with the male lead. They get back together, have 2 kids in 3 years, become a housewife, and live a happy life. Raising children is indeed a long and arduous task. I took a deep breath. At this moment, I am immensely grateful for the existence of bullet comments, although the worldview of bullet comments is also ridiculously skewed. But now, after hearing what I said to Softy, the bullet comments seem to have undergone some different changes. A week has passed in the blink of an eye. I'm sure Wan Yuan took my words to heart. Ever since that night, many comments were filled with resentment towards me. They say that after Wan Yuan made it clear she dislikes Jian Chen's little moves, he stopped harassing her. Instead, she would go around every day, asking about Chi-Chi. Wouldn't that mess up the pairing? But soon, the viewers noticed that Chi-Chi was far less forgiving than Wan Yuan. She went straight to the grade director to report that Jian Chen had been crossing classes, causing chaos in the class, and his crime was unforgivable. She spoke with righteous indignation, and since the school has been strictly enforcing the ban on inter-class visits recently, Jian Chen was made an example and received a public reprimand. This time, Jian Chen finally settled down and started studying seriously. Some viewers in the live chat are already crying, wondering if the ship is going to sink before it even starts to sweeten. I, however, feel reassured. After the last incident, I keenly noticed that the relationship between the two sisters seemed to have improved significantly, especially Soft, although she doesn't say it. Every time she comes back and doesn't see Chi-Chi, she asks where her sister is. This little episode didn't advance Soft and Jian Chen's relationship, but it did advance the emotional line with Chi-Chi. I am very gratified. I took Wan and Chi-Chi to watch old-fashioned romance dramas on the weekend. On the screen, the female lead gave up her job for a man, willingly moving to his place and squeezing into a tiny rental apartment to cook and clean for him. I asked them what conclusions they had drawn. Wan, you shouldn't sacrifice your career for a fleeting love, and she just rushed off to a different place without a second thought. How worried must her mom be? Chi-Chi's words were sharp. Feeling sorry for men will bring bad luck for a lifetime. After saying that, she glanced at me. I can't do such things. Since my mom is afraid of the dark at night, I cleared my throat lightly. 2 years ago, Chi-Chi discovered that I wasn't afraid of the dark at all. You can't say that about all men. Not every man is incapable of empathy. After all, your father and I have a good relationship, but in any case, no matter when or where, stay away from people who make you worse. That's the truth. The 2 children nodded in unison. A few days later, I found a classic romantic movie for them to watch. In my view, love is not a taboo subject. It is a natural human choice and the muse of art. This incident reminded me that the shaping of one's view on love should start early. Today's children are generally precocious and are at a stage of budding youth. Special guidance is especially important. Gradually, Chi-Chi and Wan began discussing movie plots with me and pondering what truly healthy love looks like. The style of the bullet comments also slowly shifted. fewer people were shipping couples, and more began to reflect and focus more on the growth of the two children themselves. Some even started calling me their digital mom, saying I taught them many things they didn't know. I was also happy to see that I had helped someone. However, before I could enjoy the happiness for 2 months, the bullet comments told me that something else had happened. Jiangchen began to change his strategy. According to the bullet comments, after a few setbacks, Jiangchen went back to consult his father. Jiangchen's father didn't criticize his son. Instead, he felt proud that his young son had the ability to date. So he shared with Jiangchen the secrets of how he had won over Jiangchen's mother. He told Jiangchen that girls love sweet talk, gifts, and flowers. Armed with his father's advice, Jiangchen happily went off to put it into practice, constantly showing concern for Wanwan, buying her breakfast and bringing her brown sugar water, and even offering to help her strengthen her weak areas in liberal arts. Wanwan's attitude toward Jiangchen has improved significantly. Nothing much would have happened here, as Wanwan, after my special training these days, has firmly decided not to date before college. I also believe she can do it, but soon I couldn't laugh anymore. I don't know when it started, but suddenly Wanwan became very strange. As soon as she came home, she locked herself in her room, rarely coming out except for meals, and occasionally letting out hee laughter from inside, sometimes when I called her out to eat fruit. Her hair was messy and her face flushed. When with family, she would suddenly burst into inexplicable laughter. It's as if she's experiencing a teenage crush, and the comments say that Wanwan and Jiangchen have been getting closer these days. Alarm bells are ringing in my head. Could Jiangchen really be that impressive, capable of breaking through the defenses I've carefully set up for Wanwan? I wanted to check the bullet comments to see what was happening. But even the bullet comments didn't know. Over the years, I've come to understand that the perspective of bullet comments isn't all-knowing. Everything depends on the arrangements of the behind-the-scenes operations. It's not much different from how we usually watch live variety shows. I was at a loss. I don't want Wanwan to start puppy love so early, nor do I want her to be left with emotional scars due to poor handling, which might make her averse to love in the future. After much thought, I decided to start with Chi-Chi first, because Chi-Chi and Wanwan are the same age, and although Chi-Chi is young, she is quite decisive. Second, it would be even better if I could use this opportunity to further strengthen the bond between the two sisters. Chi-Chi's expression turned odd after hearing my tactful words. It shouldn't be because of that. Although Jiangchen looks decent, Wan Yuan probably wouldn't like him. I was deeply worried. But you've seen your sister's behavior recently, and I can't shake the feeling that Wan Yuan is hiding something from me. Chi-Chi sighed and went back to her room to fetch her phone. She swiped through it a couple of times and then handed it to me. I took it and saw that it was a chat log, with the name Jiangchen as the note. I casually scrolled through it, and the chat log between the two was so long it seemed endless. Although Jiangchen's messages dominated the majority, the bullet screen instantly became lively. I knew the female supporting character couldn't escape her fate of falling for the male lead. No way. Is the male lead really going to end up liking the female supporting character? What about my ship, CPCP? All you think about is love every day. Don't you think this male lead is totally unworthy of my 2 daughters? Hanan wisdom teeth extraction, support my 2 daughters going solo, and my digital mom, let's all go solo. Seeing the comments, my fingers trembled slightly. Actually, a year ago, I changed my mind at the last minute and switched Wanwan and Chi-Chi to a different middle school to avoid the so-called meeting between the male and female leads. Later, when I saw the comments saying the male lead stayed in the original middle school, I was really happy. But it turns out, I was too optimistic, because just a few months after school started, Jiangchen transferred over as well. This is completely a plot that wasn't in the original storyline. I suddenly felt dizzy. Is the so-called original storyline really that powerful? So powerful that no matter how much effort I put in, I can't change it? Mom, what are you thinking about? Chi-Chi's voice brought me back from my momentary daze. It was indeed me chatting with Jiangchen, but I was using Wanyan's name. I was a bit confused. What does it mean to use Wanyan's name? Chi-Chi's eyes darted around. Actually, it's nothing much. I was just worried that Jiangchen might harass her. So I asked her to push him to me. I took her place to placate Jiangchen in her name. Let me make it clear, I didn't volunteer to help her. It's just that she kept looking all pitiful in front of me every day. Otherwise I wouldn't have been willing. I was stunned. So that's how it was. Chi-Chi coughed once. And Mom, you see, I only replied to him when Jiangchen asked about homework. I ignore his messages most of the time, that's true, I'm completely at ease now. But since Wanwan already rejected Jiang Chen, wouldn't it be better to just not add him? I asked, puzzled. Upon hearing my words, Chi-Chi's expression suddenly grew serious, her face filled with, I spoke as gently as possible. It's okay, sweetheart, if you're not ready to say it yet, you don't have to, Mom believes in both of you. Chi-Chi pursed her lips, as if she had made up her mind, actually. Wan Yuan told me that even though she should really hate Jiang Chen, for some reason, she can't help but be drawn to him. After sending Chi-Chi to her room to sleep, I sat on the bed with my knees hugged to my chest. I don't know how to describe how I'm feeling right now, anger, sadness, confusion, but more than anything, I am afraid, I fear that Wan Yuan will be hurt by Jiang Chen in the future. I fear even more that Chi-Chi will end up with the fate described in those comments. The ending where the character, driven by jealousy towards the female lead, kidnaps her and eventually commits suicide. Is there really such an overwhelming force of fate in the plot? Why, Wan has shed her weakness and is gradually becoming brave, and Chi-Chi has long since grown into a kind, strong, and sensible girl. If their ending remains the same, what was the point of all my efforts? At this moment, the bullet comments are as unsettled as my mood. The bullet comments are in chaos. But this time, most people are as angry as I am, with only a small portion still supporting the main couple. Countless people have come forward to speak up for me. They all said they would jointly petition the authorities to change our settings and give us a free world. I used to just watch it as a regular dating show, but now I'm increasingly feeling that they are real people. They are real people, and since this book spawned its own little world, we shouldn't treat them as mere paper characters anymore. Exactly, if cross-dimensional meeting services open, I would definitely go to visit my mom and daughter. Just sneak a peek, stop with the love-struck comments. The silent majority has arrived. First time sending a comment. For my mom, I happen to know the planner of this variety show. I'll go talk to her. My brother has already gone. He said if it weren't for this variety show, his wife wouldn't have had a baby, haha. Supporting my mom and my 2 daughters living happily together with me, so I won't allow anyone to break up our family of 4, support the unity of our family of 5, support the unity of our family of 6. As the scrolling comments rolled before my eyes, I blinked, and tears suddenly fell. Suddenly, I didn't feel so bad anymore, because right now, in another world, so many people are fighting for the freedom of Chi-Chi and me. What right do I have to give up? I went to see Jiang Chen's mother. She still has long hair and red lips, wearing a red dress, exuding confidence and boldness. I handed the menu over. Auntie Jiang, take a look and see what you'd like to drink. Auntie Jiang reached out to take it and stuck her tongue out at me. Don't call me Auntie Jiang, my name is Jiang Yen, yen as in swallow. I don't want to lose my name just because I had a child, I exclaimed. You truly live up to your name. You have good taste. Some people used to laugh at my name for being old-fashioned. Jiang Yen smiled, checked a cup of coffee, and then handed the menu to the waiter. So, what do you need from me? Is it about my son? I nodded, not beating around the bush with her, and directly recounted everything about Jiang Chen and Wan Chi-Chi at school. The more she listened, the more embarrassed Jiang Yan's expression became. When she finally heard about me sending breakfast, she suddenly stood up and slammed the table. Must have learned it from his playboy father. I felt my heart skip a beat along with the vibration of the table. It was only then that Jiang Yan realized I was still there and immediately sat down to apologize to me. I'm so sorry, Sister Yang Wan. It's all my fault. I've been busy secretly fighting with my soon-to-be ex-husband over the company for the past few years. The child was either taken care of by the nanny or his father. I never expected him to turn out like this. Don't worry. I'll discipline him strictly when I get home and make sure he doesn't bother your 2 little ones again. I was overwhelmed by the amount of information in Jiang Yan's words. What do you mean by too busy fighting for the company to take care of the kids? Jiang Yan pressed her temples. She downed the coffee the waiter brought like it was a shot of alcohol. Then she started telling me the story of her years, back in the early days. Jiang Chen's father won Jiang Yan's heart with constant gifts and sweet talk. They started from scratch and built the company together, with Jiang Yan holding significant power in the company until she gave birth. However, with Jiang Chen's birth, Jiang Yan had to spend more time taking care of him. This led Jiang Chen's father to gradually marginalize Jiang Yan in the company, and later, she discovered his multiple affairs. Instead of confronting him immediately, Jiang Yan bided her time, quietly gathering evidence of his wrongdoings to reclaim the company. Thus, Jiang Chen's growth was overlooked. Perhaps the coffee that day was too intoxicating, or maybe the light rain was too tranquil. Jiang Yan shared many things with me, and also listened to many things I had to say. Raising a child is not without its challenges. I'd been so angry that I've lain awake at night, tossing and turning. I still have to get up early, prepare breakfast, and go to work the next day. Maybe it's because we all share similar roles in life. We feel like old friends who have known each other for years, with no sense of awkwardness. It's as if we were always meant to meet and become soulmates. The coffee kept coming, and so did the energy. Jiang Yan finally went home after repeatedly assuring me that she would take over Jiang Chen's education. That night, the moon was full. When I got home, it was eerily quiet, with the lights still on. I had just finished changing my shoes when I suddenly heard a noise coming from Softa's room. I immediately became alert. I cautiously knocked on the door. "Softy, are you home?" No one answered. I pressed the power button of my phone with one hand and slowly pushed open the door with the other. It was pitch dark inside. Just as I was about to turn on the light, something suddenly bumped into my leg. I recoiled in fright. Suddenly, a bright light slowly approached me from a distance. "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you." The firelight revealed the rosy faces of Chi-Chi and Wan, both holding a large strawberry cake together. My husband stood behind the two of them, keeping time with his hands. It was only then that I realized what was under my feet, a fluffy calico kitten. The kitten had round eyes and a pretty bow tied around its neck. It wasn't shy at all and kept trying to jump onto me. I picked it up in one swift motion. "What a cute little kitten." Chi-Chi raised an eyebrow and said, "This is the gift your sister secretly prepared for you in her room for half a month." In that moment, all of Wan Yuan's strange behavior over the past few days slowly came to mind. Could it be that Softy isn't reacting to Jiang Chen's unusual behavior, but to this little cat instead? A warm feeling surged within me, not just out of emotion, but because it seemed to tell me that Softy's forced feelings for Jiang Chen weren't as moving as those for a little cat. I blinked. "But I also come in to clean for my sister regularly." "Where were you hiding then?" Softly said proudly. "Of course, I'll put it in my sister's room. Chi-Chi has a strong sense of cleanliness. She cleans her own room." I teased. "You two are really close." Chi-Chi snorted coldly. "Who gets along well with her? That's what they say." But the corners of their mouth are lifting. Wan hugged Chi-Chi's arm with one hand. She said loudly, "Of course, my sister and I are the best in the world." "Alright, enough of that. The best mom in the world. Make a wish." I handed the kitten to my husband, clasped my hands together, and made a serious wish. "May all those who love me and whom I love be safe and sound, be free." The next day, Wan came back and told me that Jiang Chen had apologized to her, saying he didn't realize his previous behavior was harassment. She also said that Jiang Chen would soon transfer back to his previous school. He will not appear in front of Wan again until he fully matures. Jiang Yan is truly a unique and wonderful person. With a mother like that, Jiang Chen shouldn't go astray anymore. I carefully observed the expression on Wan's face and saw only relief, with no signs of sadness or other negative emotions. Finally, I breathed a sigh of relief. "I think so." And Chi-Chi came over to tell me that her subtle feelings for Jiang Chen had also dissipated, asking me not to worry about them anymore. "Who said I'm only adopting one? I like both of them. Isn't that okay?" Alright. Meanwhile, the comments were cheering wildly. After large-scale resistance and the suppression of power by some influential sisters, the production team has finally made a promise not to interfere with us anymore, acknowledging us as a free little world. After today, the show will be officially cancelled. That means, after today, I won't be able to see these comments anymore. A dense stream of comments flashed before my eyes. Everyone is cheering and blessing, while also shedding tears to say goodbye. My eyes gradually welled up with tears as I watched. I suddenly reached out and pulled Softy and Chi-Chi close to me, one on the left and one on the right. Then I made a peace sign at the live chat. Although Softy and Chi-Chi were a bit confused, they still followed along with the gesture. It's like the wrap-up of a film crew. I choked up as I delivered my closing remarks. "Thank you, everyone who has reached this point, whether it's today or tomorrow. Please be sure to be happy, to strive to be yourself, and to shine brightly." Okay, sure. Story 2. In my previous life, after my husband died on the battlefield, my mother-in-law returned to our hometown and adopted a 5-year-old boy from the clan, registering him under my late husband's name. For the next 15 years, I poured my heart and soul into nurturing this child. watching him grow into the youngest prime minister in the history of our dynasty. Just as I thought my life's work was complete and I could finally retire in peace, my long-dead husband returned with his concubine, storming back into my life. The first thing Xiao Yan did upon his return in his previous life was to lodge a formal complaint. He actually claimed that the son I had raised for so many years was his child with his concubine, Li Yuanu. Back then, when I found out that he not only had a concubine but also a child with her, I was consumed by jealousy and bribed someone in the military camp to plot his murder. Fortunately, he was blessed with great fortune and managed to escape that fate. Later, the Xiao family mistakenly identified someone else's body as his, so everyone thought he had died on the battlefield. I also did not send anyone to pursue and kill him again. While fleeing for his life, Xiao Yan accidentally injured his head. It was only after all these years that he finally remembered everything. Xiao Yan also said that since I had no children of my own, and seeing that the child he had with his concubine was clever and adorable, I arranged for the child to be brought into the Xiao family and adopted under my name. I ended up with the honorable title of Mother of the Prime Minister for free. But this caused him and his son Xiao Huaiyan to be separated for over a decade. To my surprise, Xiao Huaiyan also stepped forward to testify for Xiao Yan, saying he vaguely remembered living in the capital as a child. One day, I was suddenly knocked unconscious and taken to the countryside, only to end up at the Xiao residence. But because my mother always told him it was just a dream, he never discovered his true origins. I was struck like lightning, realizing that all these years I had been making a dress for someone else, and had raised Xiao Huaiyan, this heartless, treacherous ingrate. With the testimony of both father and son, my guilt was sealed, and I became the notorious poisoner of the capital, reviled by all. Before being beheaded, I was paraded through the streets. This woman is utterly heartless. Indeed, women are the most venomous. Kill her, kill her. Beheading is too lenient for her. Rotten vegetables and stinking eggs thrown by the crowd blurred my vision. Despite the filth, I still saw Xiao Yan standing on the street with that concubine I had only met once, looking at me with the gaze of a victor. The concubine, Yunyang, is Xiao Yan's cousin. She is now 34 years old and well preserved. Xiao Yan was afraid that Yunyang would be jostled by the crowd, so he held her tightly in his arms as if she were a precious gem. The two of them were a perfect match. With no signs of age on their faces, truly a pair of beautiful people. Yet I, who have slaved away day and night for the vast Xiao estate for over a decade, even sacrificing most of my dowry to nurture Xiao Huanan, in the end, I was left with betrayal from all, and my head was displayed in public as a warning. With overwhelming hatred and resentment, I closed my eyes in bitter anger. To my surprise, heaven took pity, and I was reborn. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the time just after Xiao Yan's death. In my previous life, Xiao Yan's ostensible cause of death was that his military route was leaked in advance, leading to an ambush by the Huns. The Huns and the Great Yan had deep-seated grievances, and Xiao Yan, a young hero, had killed countless enemies, to humiliate both the Great Yan and the Xiao family. After killing Xiao Yan, the Huns also took his head. Thus, the Xiao Yan in the coffin is now just an headless corpse. Later, the emperor also showed much compassion to the Xiao family because of this. Facing the Xiao Yan just brought back by the convoy, I pretended to be utterly devastated, seizing the opportunity to throw myself onto the coffin, shouting all the while, "This is not my husband is a war god. He cannot be dead." He also casually lifted the white cloth covering the top. Xiao Yan is meticulous in his work. Indeed, the corpse had a mole in the same spot as Xiao Yan. When he lifted the sleeve on the arm, even the scar was identical. How could this be? Is it really my husband? Mother, look quickly. The mole and the scar on its hand are exactly the same as my husband's. Xiao Yan's mother had to rush up to cover my mouth. In my previous life, one of the reasons Xiao Yan's lies were so easily believed by so many people was that I was so heartbroken at this moment that I couldn't bear to examine Xiao Yan's body closely and hastily buried him. Now that I've caused such a commotion, everyone believes this corpse is Xiao Yan himself. If he tries to resurrect himself again and claims something like "It's fortunate that the Xiao family accidentally took someone else's corpse years ago," no one will believe him. After all, even the moles and scars are identical. What are the odds of that? I can't wait to see how Xiao Yan plans to return after I make this scandal public. After putting on a show at the Xiao residence, I secretly instructed my maid, Xiao Tao, to go to the Xiao family's ancestral home in Gusu without waiting for Xiao Yan's mother to arrange anything. all eligible children from the clan whose parents agreed to adoption were brought over. There are 4 boys and 2 girls in total. I nodded with satisfaction. Although widows are not prohibited from remarrying in our dynasty, men often have multiple wives. Having plenty of spare cash like me, and adopting 2 well-behaved and likable kids, could be quite a delightful thing. 3 days after the funeral, Madame Xiao, as in my previous life, brought Xiao Huaiyan into the mansion. 1 June, come and take a look at this child. Madame Xiao called me over. This child is the spitting image of Xiao Yan, in my past life. I said this the moment I saw Xiao Huaiyan. Upon hearing this, Madame Xiao nodded in satisfaction, saying that it seems this child has a connection with the Xiao family, and it would be better to adopt him under Xiao Yan's name, so we'll have someone to rely on in the future. At this moment, I looked at Xiao Huaiyan, only showing a look of confusion. Mother, who is this child? Xiao's mother looked slightly embarrassed and cleared her throat. Without a man to support the Xiao household, it won't last long. It's lonely for just the 2 of us. Look at this child, he resembles Yan so much. It seems he's destined to be part of the Xiao family. I brought him from our ancestral home in Gusu, and he's from the same clan. Why don't we adopt him into your and Yan's family? I laughed and clapped my hands. No wonder people always say, not a family, not a door. Mother, we actually thought of the same thing. I called for Xiao Tao to bring those children over. And Madame Xiao was immediately stunned. What is this for? A hint of sorrow appeared on my face. After my husband left, I noticed you were always in low spirits, and the Xiao household has been rather quiet, so I thought, perhaps there are suitable children from the branch family who would be willing to be adopted. That would be perfect. I didn't expect we'd think alike. Look, these children are of decent quality, and since our Xiao family has always been short of heirs, why not keep them all? It would also bring joy to Mother. Mother Xiao clenched her teeth. How dare you act on your own without even consulting me? Still wearing an impeccable smile. I've been so busy lately that I forgot to tell you. It's strange, I said. I had all the eligible children from our hometown brought to the capital, so why wasn't this child included? Xiao Tao, what were you doing? Xiao Tao immediately knelt down. Please forgive me, madam. The first thing I did upon arriving in Gusu was to visit the clan leader and request that all families willing to adopt a child from the Xiao family be invited. I truly did not see this young Master Huaiyan. I frowned and asked my mother-in-law, how could this be? Mother, are you sure this child is from our Xiao family? Let's not make a mistake. Perhaps I should send Xiao Tao back to our hometown to verify this. I opened the document presented by Xiao Tao. Mother, look. This is the adoption document signed by the parents of those children, with their fingerprints on it. All the procedures are in place to avoid future trouble. What do you think about inviting the parents of this child to come over? Our Xiao family always acts clearly and transparently, so as not to give others something to gossip about later. Zhao's mother glared at me angrily, as if saying, you're so clever. Zhao's mother initially disagreed with inviting Xiao Huanan's parents to handle the paperwork, but I stood my ground and told her, how can I possibly take him under my name if I can't even verify his identity? Only then did Madame Xiao reluctantly agree. 3 days later, she somehow found a couple to impersonate Xiao Huanan's parents. I acted decisively, inviting dozens of prominent families from the capital to a grand ceremony to acknowledge him as my kin. I didn't inform Mrs. Xiao before inviting guests, catching her off guard. At the banquet, all 6 children kowtowed to me. The other 5 children were beaming with joy, but Xiao Huaiyan looked reluctant, his eyes filled with resentment. I pretended not to notice his displeasure and gave each child a red envelope containing 20 taels of silver. Xiao Tao once again presented the adoption documents for the 6 children for the guests to review, and they praised me for my meticulous work. I smiled warmly. My husband passed away early, and I thought I would never have the blessing of children in this life, but today, I, Su Wanjun, finally have children. I introduced them one by one. These 5 children are named Haiyan, Xian, Zhongheng, Lingrua, and Wenyuan. This one is called Huaiyan, chosen by my mother-in-law and brought home. Look, he resembles my husband so much. This time, everyone knew that Xiao Huaiyan was brought back by Zhao's mother. Thus, Xiao Yan could no longer frame me for stealing his illegitimate child as he had in his previous life. Perhaps out of guilt, Zhao's mother looked rather uneasy. What's the difference who brought them back? They're all our Xiao family's children. I smiled faintly. Mother is right. Xiao Huaiyan's face darkened, and I continued, Huaiyan, did you hear what your grandmother said? You are all children of the Xiao family, and should treat each other as equals. since you are the eldest, you should help and support your younger siblings. Remember to share any good things with them." Although Xiao Huaiyan was cunning, he was still young. After hearing my instigating words, he angrily pushed me and said, "Who do they think they are? My father is General Xiao Yan, and the entire Xiao family will be mine in the future. Who do they think they are, these wild kids, to even dream of my things?" I used the force from Xiao Huaiyan pushing me to plop down on the ground. And Xiao Tao hurried over to help me up. Among the 5 children, Haiyan and Lingrua were young and had never seen such a big scene, so they were directly scared to tears by Xiao Huaiyan's actions. My personal maid, Yu Huan, was also a feisty one. Seeing this, she directly pointed her finger at Xiao Huaiyan's nose and scolded him, "You heartless wretch, being adopted into the Xiao family is already a great fortune for you, yet you dare to covet other things and disrespect your adoptive mother. You defy her the moment you step through the door. I don't think our household can accommodate a Buddha like you." The guests began to point and whisper at Xiao Huaiyan. The term defiance carries a heavy stigma in this era. If Xiao Huaiyan ever hopes to pass the imperial exams and enter officialdom, he will surely be criticized for it. Zhao's mother was so anxious she stomped her feet, wanting to protect Xiao Huaiyan but feeling too guilty to show favoritism in public. I had the 5 children taken away first, then gently pressed down on Yu Huan's hand. "No need," I said. "Children who are willing to be adopted by their parents are usually the ones who are not favored at home. If we send them back right after they've been taken in by our general's residence, their life at home will surely be even harder." I sighed. "Consider it as an act of virtue for my future husband." All the ladies praised me for my kind heart and my ability to be tolerant. He also cursed Xiao Huaiyan, saying that the boy had a wolfish heart and would grow up to be no good, urging me to be cautious and wary. There's no need to hire renowned teachers to teach him too much. For someone with such poor character, mediocrity is the best outcome. I nodded with a moved expression. Meanwhile, I sneakily glanced at Madame Zhao's face, which was darker than a pot bottom, and felt immensely satisfied inside. Zhao's mother couldn't bear the thought of her only grandson remaining illiterate. Under her insistence, I, as in my previous life, invited the renowned scholar Mr. Sun from the capital. This time, however, Mr. Sun's students were not limited to just Xiao Huaiyan, and I didn't discipline him as strictly as I had in my past life. Xiao Huaiyan, feeling superior due to his status, showed no basic respect to the esteemed scholar teaching him, let alone putting much effort into his studies. In contrast, the other 5 children, coming from humble backgrounds and unloved at home, were deeply grateful to both Mr. Sun and me, cherishing the rare opportunity to learn. When I brought my 6 children to seek instruction, I said, "It is truly a blessing for our entire household to have Mr. Sun as their teacher. I dare not hope that all 6 children will bring honor to our family in the future. If just 1 or 2 can succeed, my late husband will rest easy in the afterlife." Mr. Sun was extremely proud. Seeing Xiao Huaiyan uninterested in learning and always behaving like a spoiled rich kid, he showed even more disrespect to his teacher. Plus, as his foster mother, I had also said that I didn't expect all of them to succeed. Therefore, he soon gave up on Xiao Huaiyan and focused his efforts on Zhongheng and Lingrua, who had the best talents. Zhao's mother came from a family of 6th-rank military officers and had no understanding of scholarly pursuits. My father is the current grand tutor, and the Su family has produced 2 imperial tutors in succession. Known for their integrity, Madame Xiao was quite satisfied with the virtue of me, her adoptive mother. After I invited Mr. Sun, she comfortably took on the role of a hands-off manager. 5 years later, Zhongheng, only 12 years old, passed the first examination and became the youngest scholar. At 11, Xiao Huaiyan still barely knew a few characters. Moreover, I deliberately placed many unscrupulous servants around Xiao Huaiyan, and at a young age, he had already picked up a host of bad habits, becoming a notorious young bully in the capital. When the news reached Madame Xiao, she stormed into my Minghua hall with Xiao Huaiyan, demanding an explanation. "Su Wanjun, how are you raising the child? I entrusted the entire household to you, and this is how you manage it. If you can't manage this household, you'd better return the authority to me sooner rather than later. I'll take care of these children for you." Watching the formidable Lady Xiao, I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. The reason Lady Xiao was willing to let me take charge of the household early on was simply because she believed Xiao Yan was gone, and the Xiao estate had become a money pit with no income. With my substantial dowry, I could just as well support her grandchildren and her extravagant lifestyle. filling the void in the Xiao estate, trying to take advantage of me and also acting like the authoritative mother-in-law. Not a chance. Well then, your daughter-in-law has indeed been feeling overwhelmed lately, and what you say makes sense, so from now on, I'll leave the management of the household to you." Seeing me say this, Mother Xiao was taken aback. She coughed awkwardly, feeling caught between a rock and a hard place. "I may have spoken too harshly just now. Please don't take it to heart. Wanjun, you've taught Zhongheng so well, yet Huaiyan doesn't even know the 4 books and 5 classics. Such favoritism will not reflect well on your reputation. In my opinion, Mr. Sun is just a name without substance. Hire a good tutor for Huaiyan and replace his maids and servants with those who are reliable and encouraging. As long as you treat everyone fairly, you can continue to manage this household." I demurred. "Mother, with 6 children to support in the household, expenses are already considerable. Hiring another tutor comparable to Mr. Sun would be a significant additional cost." Xiao Huaiyan, however, was not pleased. "Grandmother, please take back the household management. Don't let this wicked woman control it. She's not my real mother, so she's unwilling to spend money on me." "Be quiet, apologize to your mother right now," Zhao's mother shouted angrily. She still wanted Xiao Huaiyan to cozy up to me, hoping to gain more benefits from me. So how could she let him spout nonsense? Xiao Huaiyan glared at me with a sinister and venomous look. I seized the opportunity and said, "You see, it's not that I don't care about the child, it's just that he's beyond redemption. Everyone in the capital knows about Xiao Huaiyan's public defiance back then. Such a child, their parents are probably not good people either. Or they were born with a bad seed. As a daughter-in-law, I am incompetent and truly do not know how to guide them." Hearing this, Xiao Huaiyan could no longer hold back and suddenly kicked towards me. "Bitch, how dare you insult my parents? You're nothing but a whore who stole someone else's place, and you think you're qualified to lecture me. You drag your feet when it comes to hiring a tutor, and you're stingy with a few 100 taels of silver. When you're dead, this Xiao estate will all be mine." Xiao Huaiyan's. Everyone in the mansion was horrified by the scene, and Xiao Tao rushed over to shield me tightly. "How dare you, take this insolent, disrespectful wretch away at once." As I had hoped, this life's Xiao Huaiyan, without my proper guidance, has grown into a selfish, violent, and cunningless person, following the nature of his parents. I sat down on the ground, sobbing and pounding my chest with a handkerchief. "For all these years, my Xiao family has provided you with good food and shelter, yet you repay us with such ingratitude. My mother merely scolded you a few times, and you want to hit me and even curse me to death. What a misfortune for our family, what a misfortune." The perceptive servants and maids in my courtyard have spread this news far and wide. As a widow of a hero, I have never remarried, diligently managing my husband's household, raising children who are not biologically mine, and even hiring renowned teachers. Thus, I had already earned a reputation for virtue in the capital over the past 2 years. When this news spread, the ladies and young women of the city all felt sorry for me. Xiao Huaiyan's reputation also worsened. Using the excuse of being heartbroken, I handed over the household management duties properly, indifferent to any attempts by Xiaoyan's mother to persuade me otherwise. What I didn't expect was that 2 months later, one day, Xiao Tao suddenly told me that a woman claiming to have had a brief affair with Xiao Yan was standing at the gate of the Xiao residence, refusing to leave. By the time I arrived, the entrance was already packed with onlookers, 3 layers deep. The woman who claimed to have a connection with Xiao Yan was dressed in a pale yellow gown, her hair adorned with a simple pin. She stood gracefully at the gate of the Xiao residence, exuding a delicate and fragile demeanor. Although I had only caught a fleeting glimpse of her in a past life, I immediately recognized her as Li Yuanu, the woman who had made Xiao Yan forsake wealth, honor, and his military position. Seeing me emerge, Li Yuanu discreetly examined me from head to toe, her eyes betraying a subtle hint of jealousy. With tears in her eyes, she gracefully bowed and said, "Yuan Yang greets her elder sister. I apologize for my abrupt arrival today." She nudged the little girl beside her, who looked to be about 3 or 4 years old. "I shouldn't have come uninvited, but this year Yuzhou has suffered a severe drought. Our family can't even afford to cook a meal, and even the adults are struggling to survive, let alone the children. Madam, as you can see, my daughter is almost 6 years old, yet she is still as small as a 3 or 4-year-old. As a mother, I feel utterly helpless and heartbroken. I cannot bear to see Xiao Lang's bloodline left to fend for itself. I beg you, sister, to show mercy." "Schwanger, why haven't you paid your respects to the mistress yet? You've gained another mother from now on. Hearing this, the little girl named Shuang'er tremblingly performed a somewhat awkward bow. This child was clearly born to Xiao Yan and Li Yuanyu after his supposed death, yet they pretended she was his posthumous child. Li Yuanyu's words seemed to be humble and submissive, but in fact, they were each a step closer to pressure. Xiao Yan has private property and a separate residence outside, so how could he possibly mistreat this mother and daughter? That pair of adulterers originally planned to make me, the sucker, fork over my dowry and connections to manage their household affairs, take care of their elderly mother, and raise their illegitimate child. Xiao Yan, on the other hand, would use the opportunity to escape family responsibilities and live a carefree life with Li Yuanyang outside. When everything clears up, they would turn the tables, take all my achievements, and even my life. Li Yuanyuang's sudden outburst is naturally because she heard the rumors about Xiao Huaiyan in the capital and could no longer sit still. Originally, adopting 6 children meant that the Xiao family's estate would be divided into 6 parts, which was acceptable, given the current situation. With Xiao Huaiyan being so despised by me and everyone in the capital, he might not even get a sixth of the estate in the future. That's why Li Yuanyuang rushed over with Xiao Yan's posthumous daughter. Isn't it said that the mistress of the Xiao household is kind-hearted? How come I see that she doesn't seem to want to bring in the only surviving bloodline of General Xiao? Exactly, and she just stood there watching a 2- or 3-year-old girl bow to her. I guess seeing is believing, and hearing is not always true. This mistress of the Xiao family might not be such a good person after all, many men say. Look at Li's appearance and figure. If I were General Xiao, I'd keep this beautiful lady outside too, to avoid her being mistreated by the mistress in the household. Hearing the murmurs from the crowd, Li Yuanyu's lips curled in a smug smile. I said calmly, Madam Li, it's not that I'm deliberately making things difficult for you, but I've seen too many women like you coming to claim kinship. If I were to welcome every one of them into the mansion and treat them as honored guests, wouldn't my Xiao family's residence become a charity home? Now that Xiao Lang is gone, with no one to verify the truth, his reputation is naturally at your mercy to tarnish. As I spoke, I pretended to be sad and took out a handkerchief to wipe away non-existent tears. Li Yuanyu was left speechless by my words. The onlookers finally caught on. Indeed, Li Yuanyuang has no evidence, nor has Xiao Yan ever acknowledged her as his concubine. It's quite unreasonable for her to suddenly show up with her daughter claiming to be his wife. Li Yuanyuang frantically searched through her belongings. Xiao Huaiyan was brought out by my servant. Nonsense, you're the one tarnishing my father's reputation. I've lived in this mansion for so many years, and I've never seen any woman coming to claim kinship. Seeing this, I clutched my chest and said, what a curse, Huaiyan. Must you really oppose your mother? TSK. So this is the famous Xiao Huaiyan. Indeed, he lacks manners, not even greeting his stepmother upon meeting her. He immediately sides with outsiders. If I were Madame Xiao, I'd be furious. After all, she raised him for years, yet he values a random stranger more. Pleased, I smiled and instructed Xiao Tao to bring out 2 boxes, addressing Xiao Huaiyan and the crowd. How could such a disgraceful matter be known to you youngsters? This box contains the letters that have been sent to the Xiao residents over the years. Each letter claims a connection with my husband and alleges that they bore him children. The most outrageous even demanded that I send them 1,000 taels of silver annually to support the so-called Xiao lineage. This box holds tokens like jade pendants and waist badges. Everyone knows that my husband's twin beast cloud pendant was personally bestowed by the emperor and is one of a kind, yet, I have received more than 3 of these twin beast cloud pendants. It's not that I mean to make things difficult, it's just that now that he is gone, if my husband knew from the afterlife, he would certainly not want his name tarnished. As I finished speaking, I saw Li Yuanyu had already retrieved the double beast auspicious cloud pendant she carried with her. She was about to hand it over when she realized it was identical to the 3 jade pendants in my box, and she stood there awkwardly, at a loss. The onlookers below were all marveling in amazement. What a decline in morals. Who would have thought that so many unscrupulous people would slander the heroes of my great yen? It's no wonder they came up with such a lucrative scheme. No wonder my family, 3 generations of poor farmers, couldn't make any money. It's because we didn't have the thick skin of others. Madame Xiao, such a devious person must not be allowed to escape. She could very well be a spy sent by a foreign country to confuse the bloodline of our great Yan's war god. Yes, hurry and arrest her, arrest her. Under the intense public outcry, I reluctantly arrested Li Yuanyuang. No matter how much Xiao Huaiyan threw a tantrum or cursed, it was futile. 3 days later, The Grand Court sent someone to inform Li Yuanu of the verdict. The experienced coroner quickly discovered that Li Yuanu's daughter, Xiao Han's Huang, was not yet 4 years old. Since Xiao Yan had passed away 5 years ago, Xiao Han's Huang could not possibly be his biological daughter. The messenger spoke respectfully. The official has already given Madame Li 20 lashes and will soon expel her from the capital. Madam, please rest assured. Such treacherous individuals will no longer tarnish your sight. I felt immensely satisfied and said, thank you for your efforts, esteemed officials. Xiao Tao, bring another cup of fine tea for Magistrate Zhang. Pack 2 boxes of crab powder pastries from Suxiangji for the official. Zhang Bo repeatedly expressed his gratitude. You vile woman, how dare you strike my mother, I will kill you. Xiao Huiyan burst into the room, still holding a dagger. Zhang Bo's attendant behind him was a skilled martial artist, and in a few moves, he subdued the 11-year-old Xiao Huiyan. Huiyan, how dare you act out like this in front of our esteemed guest? I thought you were merely ill-mannered in front of your mother. Please forgive him, my lord, this child of mine. Alas, Zhang Bo waved his hand. Zhongheng passed the Shoucai exam at just 12 years old, his future is limitless. Who in the capital doesn't know that Madam is kind-hearted and a skilled educator? Just as one tree bears both sweet melons and crooked ones, let alone siblings from different fathers and mothers. Madam, there's no need to blame yourself. This child, however, is quite mischievous and doesn't seem like someone who would stay out of trouble. In the future, he might cause problems. If Madam needs, I can take him away and discipline him. How dare you? The visitor's voice was loud and resonant. Very familiar. How dare you, a mere clerk, judge my son's character? Xia Yan has arrived. Zhang Bo's legs were trembling like. Xia Yan's reputation as a war god strikes fear in everyone in the Great Yin. What is this? Zhang Bo looked at me with a pleading gaze. Father. Xiao Huiyan broke free from the servant's restraint and joyfully ran into Xiao Yan's arms. Xiao Huiyan was overweight, already weighing over 100 pounds at the age of 11, nearly knocking Xiao Yan off his feet. It's this wicked woman, she didn't hire a good teacher for me and even wanted to have them take me away to discipline me. Su, how dare you, you abuse my son Xiao Yan, do you know your crime? Even after 5 years of wandering, the aura of a war god still emanated from Xiao Yan. Although all the servants in the mansion have been replaced by my people, they all remain as quiet as quails, not daring to breathe heavily. When they see the enraged Xiao Yan, Xiao Huiyan, seeing that he now had someone to back him up, proudly raised his chin and looked at me. I let out a soft chuckle. Where did you come from, you impudent thing, to dare impersonate the name of my late husband? Truly, wealth moves the heart and clouds the mind. Everyone in the Great Yin knows that the war god Xiao Yan has been dead for 5 years. Back then, I couldn't believe he was dead. I even examined his body carefully to confirm that it was indeed Xiao Yan who was buried. The elders in the capital can all testify to this. Hearing my words, the people in the courtyard slightly straightened their necks and regained some composure. Indeed, everyone knows Xiao Yan is dead. Who knows what this random person popping up is supposed to be? And it seems you're ill-informed. This boy isn't my late husband's biological son. He was adopted by my mother-in-law from within the family. Not even if my late husband rose from the dead would he rebuke me, his lawful wife. Over an adopted son, having been reborn, I have grown accustomed to managing the front and back courtyards, no longer the gentle, indecisive, kind-hearted wife I once was. Xiao Yan was shocked by my decisive words, each one precise and piercing. You vile woman, how have you become such a shrew after just a few years? I waved my hand and declared, this man dares to impersonate our great Yan's war god, harboring malicious intent, even more despicable than the likes of the Li family. Come. Quickly drag him away and send him to the Grand Court of Justice for Magistrate Lu to judge. Just as the servants in the mansion were about to step forward, Madame Xiao arrived. Stop, Su Wanjun, how ruthless you are, my child, let your mother take a good look, you've suffered outside. Xiao Yan knelt on one knee. I have failed you, mother. 5 years ago, after being wronged by treacherous people, I lost all my memories. Fortunately, I was saved by Mistress Yu. Or I wouldn't be alive today. After giving birth to Shuanger, life finally started to get a little easier, but then there was a drought in Yuzhou. Fortunately, my son remembered the past and quickly sent Yuanyang to seek refuge with relatives. However, he has always suspected that Su Wanjun was behind the exposure of our whereabouts back then. That's why he instructed Yuanyang not to reveal that I am still alive, just to say that she has a connection with me. Unfortunately, you encountered me. this wicked woman, who almost harmed them mother and daughter, isn't that right? I watched this mother and son perform so vividly in front of me that I couldn't help but clap and laugh. Xiaoyan clearly paused. You do have some self-awareness, mother. Quickly arrest this wicked woman. Madame Xiao looked frantic. I never expected that the Xiao household would raise a woman as vicious as you. What are all of you standing around for? Why don't you act? However, my authority in the household is well established, and no one dares to move. Even a maidservant advised Madame Xiao not to be deceived by the villain. Zhao's mother was so incensed that she brought in officials from the Yamen to perform a public blood-matching ceremony. The result goes without saying. The resurrection of a deceased second-rank general of the court is such a major event that it naturally had to be reported to the emperor. Adding to this, Xiao Yan publicly accused me of treason, so when Xiao Yan and his mother went to see the emperor, I was also bound and taken away in a carriage. They were rough, and in a few movements, my hair bun came undone. In contrast, Li Yuanyuang had changed into my newly made shoe brocade dress and wore the dong pearl hair ornaments I had just made, making her more beautiful than a flower, full of, just now, I called you sister. If you had obediently responded, it would have been fine. But you had to refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Su Wanjun, you've enjoyed so many years of fortune for me, it's time to return the position of Madame Xiao to me. Xiao Yan, upon seeing the emperor, knelt down with tears streaming down his face. Your Majesty, please forgive me for being late. After reminiscing with his ministers, the emperor's expression grew somewhat awkward. My actions over the years have been so proper and virtuous that everyone knows. And I have long been held up as a model of wifely virtue. The emperor and empress have bestowed 3 plaques upon me, but now, as soon as Xiao Yan returned to the capital, he brought a concubine to humiliate me, and even accused me of being the mastermind behind his military defeat and memory loss. Your Majesty, this wicked woman is skilled at sweet-talking and pretends to have a kind heart. You must not be deceived by her. Xiao Yan prostrated himself on the ground. The Deputy General Lin Zhongqin, who was by my side, was recommended by Su Wanjun. After the incident, Lin Zhongqin disappeared without a trace. I am certain that she is involved in this matter. Moreover, I recall that Su Wanjun is proficient in Xiongnu. If your Majesty doubts this, you can send someone to search her courtyard. Better safe than sorry. If Su Wanjun truly harbors malicious intentions, she could be a danger to our great Yen. The emperor was finally persuaded by Xiao Yan. And with a wave of his hand, he dispatched a group of men to the Xiao family. Seeing this, Xiao Yan seemed to finally relax, and he exchanged a secret smile with Li Yuanyuang. Their confident demeanor set off alarm bells in my mind. Could they have placed something in my room? If the men sent by the emperor really find evidence of treason, then I would be utterly defenseless. Before long, Eunuch Wu, leading a group of guards, entered the hall. Your Majesty, these are the items we found at General Zhao's residence. Please take a look. Li Yuanyuang, her eyes filled with tears, said, Su Wanjun, it really was you. You are a citizen of the great Yen. Why would you help the Huns harm our loyal general? Xiao Lang has suffered so much over the years, and even now often feels excruciating headaches. It was you, his wife, who caused this. How can you live with your conscience? Xiao Yan bowed to the emperor and said, fortunately, Your Majesty is wise and has uncovered Su Wanjuan's true nature. Please deal with this wicked woman at once. The emperor's face turned pale as he looked at the evidence presented. Just as I was about to kneel and explain, I heard Eunuch Wu say, Your Majesty, these items were found in the room of Xiao Huaiyan, the adopted son of the Xiao family. Li Yuanu broke down first. What? Impossible, you must be mistaken. How could it be Huaiyan? Xiao Yan also expressed disbelief. Indeed, Director Wu, Huaiyan is only 11 years old. How could he possibly be colluding with foreign powers? There must be some misunderstanding. I feigned extreme sorrow. What you say, General Xiao, is quite off the mark. Why is it that when your wife is found to be a spy, you are so eager for the emperor to dispose of me immediately, yet when your unknown adopted son is suspected of being a spy, you suddenly defend him? Do not underestimate an 11-year-old. In the previous dynasty, a spy was sent to Diyan at the age of 9 to gather information. Your Majesty, why not summon Xiao Huaiyan for questioning? As soon as the letters were discovered, Director Wu had already brought the 6 adopted sons of the Xiao family to wait outside the hall. After the emperor nodded, it wasn't long before Xiao Huaiyan was led in. Seeing the face that was identical to Xiao Yan's, the emperor and the surrounding palace attendants couldn't help but be stunned. Seeing the right moment, I respectfully bowed and said, "Your Majesty, I have always had a doubt in my heart. On that day, to please my mother-in-law, I sent someone to bring back 5 children from the Xiao family's ancestral home in Gusu, adopting them under Xiao Yan's name. The person I sent was very certain that they had not seen Xiao Huaiyan at the time, as if the child had suddenly appeared out of nowhere, but because he was brought by my mother-in-law, Lady Xiao, even though he showed no respect for his elders, repeatedly disobeyed, and was unskilled in studies, I could only grit my teeth and raise him. I dabbed at my tears with a handkerchief. What's even more bizarre is that Xiao Huaiyan felt an immediate closeness to Xiao Yan the first time they met, yet, despite raising this child for 5 years, he never felt as close to me. Xiao Yan was furious. "Su Wanjun, what do you mean? The reason the child you raised for 5 years isn't close to you is because your virtue is lacking and you are unfit to be a mother. We are now judging your crime of treason. Do not deflect by talking about other matters." The emperor, however, became interested in my words and gestured for me to continue. "Furthermore, General Xiao keeps accusing me of killing him. Where did that corpse from back then come from? Everyone knows that before the burial, I carefully examined General Xiao's body, and the birthmark and scars were exactly the same as yours. The one who climbed to the throne in the Deep Palace was indeed clever." The emperor immediately ordered Xiao Huaiyan to undergo a blood test with Xiao Yan and Li Yuanyuang. As expected, Xiao Huaiyan was indeed the child of Xiao Yan and Li Yuanyuang. I have been married to Xiao Yan for 11 years. Yet he has a secret son who is over 11 years old. This son was even adopted under my name by Zhao's mother. Xiao Yan, pretending to have lost his memory due to my alleged scheme, has been living with his concubine he met over a decade ago for the past few years, and even had another daughter. Instantly, everyone in the hall looked at Xiao Yan with disdain. Xiao Yan and Li Yuanu tried to argue, but they were directly taken away by the palace guards, after returning to the Xiao residence. I kept Zhongheng behind alone. Given Xiao Yan's smugness at the time, he must have already had someone plant incriminating evidence in my room, and the mole, of course, was Xiao Huaiyan. As for why the letter ended up in Xiao Huaiyan's room, I voiced my suspicions. Zhongheng nodded. "Mother, Lingruan noticed Xiao Huaiyan sneaking into your courtyard. She was worried he might harm you, so she told me. After finding the letter under your bed, I decided to turn the tables on him and placed it in his room." I gently patted Zhongheng's head with a sense of satisfaction, feeling that all the effort in raising this child in this lifetime hadn't been in vain. 7 days later, Li Yuanu couldn't hold out any longer and confessed first. It turned out that Xiao Yan's plan to fake his death wasn't just for her. It was also because life on the frontier was harsh and monotonous. He was already tired of this life, but he couldn't bear to let his son Xiao Huaiyan grow up without a name or status. Nor could he bear to let his mother, who was accustomed to a life of luxury, suffer. For this reason, Xiao Yan came up with this perfect solution, making me work like a slave for their family for over a decade, only to return to the capital and enjoy the fruits of my labor once everything was settled. Unfortunately, I messed it all up by being given a second chance. On the day Xiao Yan and Li Yuaning were executed, I went to see them off with 2 maids. They were pelted with rotten vegetables and stinking eggs, just as I had been in my past life. I, however, stood protected by my maids, clad in fine silk, untouched by any filth. Li Yuanu's eyes burned with venom as she glared at me. "You vile creature, it should have been you who died. It's all your fault for ruining our plans." I smiled faintly. It seems Li Yuanu has been reborn as well. Unfortunately, it's too late.